Dawg Talk here on a Thursday evening. I'm Chris Hall, and it's good to have you with us today on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And we're broadcasting tonight. Do you say broadcasting while you're on internet? See, I'm an old radio broadcaster, so there you go. But we are on air tonight, I guess, on Facebook and Instagram. And we're just going to talk a little bit about some stuff going on with the University of Georgia, especially with the football team. Now, I know our baseball team is in the playoffs. Go Dogs. They're in the, is it Nashville? I think they're in the Nashville regional, and that'll be kind of interesting. So go Dogs, and we hope our baseball dogs do a good job and doing what they're going to be doing in college baseball. What? Okay, yeah. Well, it's good to have you with us. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff going on with the University of Georgia, the football team. By the way, we're putting up a post a little later on. Had the opportunity to catch up with a 2024 commit to the University of Georgia, Antoine Jackson. He's out of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and he's quite a cornerback. He's like the number, I don't know, 10 rated quarterback in the country. He's a rising junior, but he's already made a commitment to the University of Georgia. A little later on Facebook and Instagram, we'll post up just a conversation we happen to have with Antoine, talking about why he committed to the University of Georgia and what's going on with him as he's at DeLand. Is it DeLand? It's DeLand High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So fine young man. And by the way, you might have saw the pictures of the all white uniforms, the all white uniforms. Now, there's been no change in the uniforms that the University of Georgia is going to be wearing in the games. Those were just kind of prototype kind of things for a photo shoot. And, a lot of the recruits were on campus earlier this week. Antoine was one of those, and he was kind of like the model for these all white uniforms. And boy, that has stirred up Dog Nation. You got two camps. You got the older, not the older, but the more traditional University of Georgia fans who say, no, don't change nothing. If you change something, change it a little bit. Then you got maybe the younger crowd, I guess you could say, who's saying, hey, I love it. Let's go for it. Let's get a little pizzazz. Let's change a little stuff. So anyway, there's a good discussion on that. I don't think you're going to see any changes in the uniform much that the Bulldogs wear on the field. But hey, it's not the uniform that makes the player. It's the player who makes the uniform, of course. So anyway, we had a good conversation with Antoine Jackson. He's a 2024 commit. He's a rising junior at the at his high school down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A rising junior, but he's already received offers from all of these big name colleges around the country. But he's a pretty good, solid commit for the University of Georgia. Just check that interview out, that conversation we've had with Antoine a little later on. Now, my producers are ribbing me. They're saying, first of all, where's the studio? Well, it's Thursday. It's been a long day. I said, hey, let me just sit here in my office, my messy office, and let's do it from here. And they say, okay, all right, we'll give in. And then they're razzing me like, where's my hat? But I've been watching some of the coverage of the spring meetings, the SEC spring meetings going on down in uh, wherever they are in Florida, somewhere down in Florida. And Paul Feinbaum is there. Is that Destin? Yeah, it's Destin, Florida, Destin Beach, Florida. And Paul Feinbaum is there. Of course, Paul, obviously, a wonderful podcast, kind of an expert on SEC football, media kind of guy. And he lets his bald head shine for all the world to see. So I didn't grab me a hat tonight. And I'm just doing my Paul Feinbaum impersonation. How about that? On a Thursday night. So it's good to have you with us. And we're just going to, we've got a stack of stuff here. It's a potpourri of things having to do with the University of Georgia, specifically the football team. We are under 100 days away from kickoff between Georgia and Oregon. We're like at what, 94 days now or something like that. And so the days are counting down, and very soon we'll hear that comment, toe meets leather. And there we go. We'll kick off the 2022 college football season. Georgia, of course, opening with Oregon on that opening weekend. Well, actually, it's the second weekend of the college football season, but it's the biggest weekend. And Georgia, obviously, excuse me, opening with Oregon at Mercedes-Benz State. Well, yeah, you're not supposed to cough. You're not supposed to do that when you're on the radio or on the internet or whatever. But anyway, sometimes you have to. Pollen is terrible. Here in South Georgia, where we are, I think it got to 190 degrees today. I mean, it was hot, children, today. We're already in summertime mode. I think we got up to 96 degrees actual temperature, and then the heat index probably close to 100. And yeah, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. Of course, we can't do anything about it, but hey, welcome summertime. We're here. We're in the middle of it, and well, just on the edge of it. Actually, it's not summertime, right? But anyway, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit. We're waiting for fall. Come on, fall. And but my mama used to say, "Don't wish your life away." So I'm not wishing my life away. We want to say hey to our good friends on Facebook. If you want to chime in with a comment, ask a question, we'll try our very best to answer it. And as my grandchildren say, Papa, if he don't know the answer to a question, he'll make up one that sounds pretty good. So no, we'll be absolutely honest. We'll if we don't know it, we'll tell you we don't know it. And hello to our friends on Instagram as well. So if you have a question, chime in. And we hope you've had a good day today, getting closer and closer to college football season. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening now down in Destin, Florida. All of the coaches, the athletic directors from the Southeastern Conference, they've all gathered and they're having these meetings. Um, yeah, I did. Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher have been in the same room. Jimbo, he said today, "Look, that's all over with. We're not dealing with that anymore. We're not thinking about that anymore. We're moving forward." Nick Saban, he made the comment, well, he probably should not have pointed fingers and named names, but he stands by, the sentiment, I guess, of what he said or the principle of what he said. So anyway, things could be a little tense when you get around Jimbo and Nick Saban down in Destin, Florida. But anyway, all the coaches gather from the SEC and all the athletic directors, and they get together in these meetings and they talk about this, that, and the other, and what's going on in the conference and what needs to be done. And it looks like there are some changes on the horizon with the Southeastern Conference. As you know, right now, there's two divisions. You have the SEC East. Georgia has dominated in the SEC East in the recent years. And you have the SEC West, where Alabama has dominated in the recent years. But now you have expansion. You have Oklahoma and Texas coming into the Southeastern Conference. And so there's a discussion about a lot of changes that are coming. Now, right now, each Southeastern Conference team plays 8 Southeastern Conference games. Every year on the schedule, usually teams play 12 games. If you're in the Southeastern Conference, 8 of those games are going to be conference games. You'll play the 6 teams in your conference. Then you'll play one team who is a traditional rival from the other conference that you play every year. Now, that's for Georgia, that's Auburn. Georgia always plays Auburn. Georgia plays the other teams in the SEC East, and they play Auburn. And then you have one game where you rotate it around in the other conference and you play teams from the other conference. So you have a 6-1-1 model is what they call it. And so, that's been the tradition. Now, there is a discussion now, however, what to do with expansion. And one of the discussions is just to do away with the divisions and to go to a different model. One of the suggested models is a 3-6 format, which means, you'll play 9 games in 9 conference games in a schedule. You'll play your six, you'll play three traditional teams, three teams that you'll play every year, and then you'll have six games that'll kind of rotate around the other teams in the conference. So you have a 3-6 model. Three teams you'll play every year, then six teams that it'll rotate. By the way, Texas A&M, for instance, has been in the conference for 10 years. Georgia has never played Texas A&M at Texas A&M. So so anyway, so you have the 3-6 model, and so that seems to be where things are headed. It seems to be, and I don't know if it's going to happen this year or if it's going to happen, in a year or two or whatever. But it does seem as if the Southeastern Conference is headed towards some big changes with the elimination of the divisions and then this kind of scheduling a 3-6, kind of format with teams playing three permanent opponents and rotating six. Okay. And then there's a 7-1. Also, there's a 7-1 model that has been suggested. That would be one permanent opponent and seven rotating. So it would be like Georgia always playing Auburn, or Georgia always playing Florida, or something like that, and then rotating around. Anyway, it's a little confusing, and so that's what's going on. And there's been a lot of discussion. I think the star of the show at the SEC spring meetings has been Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. Uh, he's been having a lot of fun, and of course, Lane is he's that guy. He has a lot of fun, and he says a lot of things, I think, in an offhanded way, as if he has just thought of them, and he's jesting when in actuality he's thought about it, but he just presents it as kind of an off the cuff kind of comment. And he's had some interesting discussions. By the way, on Lane Kiffin has a Twitter feed for his dog. Yeah, Lane Kiffin has a Twitter feed for his dog. His dog has a Twitter feed, and his dog puts up these hilarious tweets poking fun at his master, Lane Kiffin. If you're on Twitter, check it out. It's a lot of fun. And anyway, Lane Kiffin is that kind of guy, and he's having a lot of fun with it. Kirby Smart had his comment on Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, and he said, "Well, I'm not going to get in the middle of that, but if you think that's bad, you ought to be on the headsets with them." Meaning, on the staff with them when they're talking in the headsets. And he said all that stuff they talked about was Mickey Mouse stuff. You ought to be on the headsets with these guys during a game or whatever. So, yeah, interesting things coming out of the SEC meetings. Josh Brooks, the athletic director from the University of Georgia, representing Georgia very well. Of course, he kind of swaggers in there as the athletic director of the defending national champion, Georgia Bulldogs. And so, he's got a pretty wide stick he can hover around, folks, at least for this year. So we'll keep you updated on all of that. But the big thing coming out of the SEC meetings, and I don't know if there's going to be and of course they also talked about an all SEC national playoff. I don't know how that's going to work. I really haven't delved into that, but I don't know. Kind of interesting. Um, but we'll keep you updated on that. But I think the biggest thing coming out of the SEC meetings is this discussion about scheduling, whether you're going to eliminate the divisions, and then you ought to have a formula to tabulate who will play in the conference championship. You'll still have the conference championship, and somehow you'll develop, some kind of formula for the top teams. Of course, schedule the winning will be the biggest element in that formula. But you'll have a formula for determining, the champion and then the next team, and they'll play for the SEC conference championship. Now, the reason you're going to have a conference championship game, even if you eliminate the divisions, is money. It's just the way it is. That's a big money generator, and so that's what you're going to have. So there you go. Also, let's see. Our guys got us a stack of stuff here. Okay, we know the times for Georgia's September football games. Now, beyond that, the times have not been determined. So, but we know you look at the Georgia schedule, the September games, the times for those games have already been determined. So Georgia will open the season on September 3rd, and of course, taking on Oregon at Mercedes Benz. And it'll be what is it? What is that? The Chick-fil-A kickoff thing or something like. Anyway, it's one of those kickoff things with Oregon. It's set for 3:30 on September 3rd, 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay, 3:30. 3:30 game for the opening game, Mercedes-Benz. That's okay in Atlanta. Week 2, in week 2, Georgia will have the opening home game, which will be a lot of fun. Will it not be a lot of fun? The defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs open their home season taking on Samford, not Stanford now, but Samford, the school from Birmingham, Alabama. That's a 4 o'clock game. I mean, seriously, it's a 4 o'clock game. Either make the thing 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock, but 4 o'clock. Now, determining all of this is television. There you go. So week 2, Georgia will take on Samford. It'll be a 4 o'clock game. Georgia's first SEC game will come the following week, September the 17th. And Georgia will be taking on South Carolina. That'll be a noon kickoff. I mean, seriously. So far in September, you have a 3:30 kickoff, a 4 o'clock kickoff, and then you have a noon kickoff. No nighttime games yet for Georgia. And then the following week, the last game of the month of September, Georgia will take on Kent State, and that'll be a noon kickoff as well. So there's some discussion about why. What is going on here? Georgia is the defending national champions. Why are they getting these weird times for their football games? Oregon, you can understand, 3:30. Okay, it should have been the night game, but you understand, 3:30. Samford at 4 o'clock. Weird kickoff time. Television determines that. Noontime against South Carolina, and I think you got an LSU and somebody game for the night game, and the SEC game of the week on CBS at 3:30 is somebody else. Anyway, you got Georgia at noon on September 17th against South Carolina. And then you have Kent State at home. That'll be a noon game. And by the way, last year, one of the Georgia games was just on what? ESPN Plus, that it wasn't on, it wasn't on any television. You had to go on the internet, as a good friend of mine calls it, to see the game. It was just on ESPN Plus or something like that, or SEC Plus or something like that. Well, the Kent State game is going to be the same thing. So you're going to have all of these moms and dads calling their children saying, "How can I find the Georgia game? Where is it?" So kind of weird stuff for Georgia in September. Personally, I don't like it, but I'm not in charge. So there you go. Some odds have come out as who's going to win the national championship next year. Who put this out? FanDuel or somebody like that? Or anyway. It's supposedly a reputable organization has put this out. Alabama has the best odds of winning the national championship next year. Georgia is second. So Alabama has the best odds according to this group. Georgia is second. Texas A&M is third, with the third best odds of winning the national championship next year. And believe it or not, Ole Miss. Really? Oh, are these SEC? Oh, yeah, we have the other one. Oh, yeah, this is for the odds of winning the SEC. Is that right? Okay, I got you. I can't read. Anyway, Alabama has the best odds of winning the SEC next year, according to this group. Georgia is second, Texas A&M third, Ole Miss fourth, LSU, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Missouri, and poor old Vanderbilt. So Alabama has the best odds of winning the SEC next year, according to, is it FanDuel or whoever this is? And Georgia is second, and then Texas A&M, Ole Miss, LSU. Okay. Hey, it's a big recruiting weekend this weekend for the University of Georgia. Boy, I wish I was there. They ought to bring in the big guns, to get these guys to come on to the University of Georgia. Hello, Paul Feinbaum, number two, right here, sitting right here. Anyway, some big targets coming to Athens this weekend. Number one overall prospect, Arch Manning, leads the list. He'll be back in Athens. This will be his fourth trip to Athens. So, usual suspects are the teams that are, in on Arch's list apparently, and you've heard them: Georgia, Texas, Alabama. He's also probably going to visit LSU in Florida. I could save him some money. Just forget Florida. LSU is in his backyard. He lives in New Orleans. And the latest reports are, and who knows? Who knows? People are guessing that it's getting narrower now between Georgia and Texas. So David Cutcliffe is he's on the staff at Texas, and he's good friends with the Mannings. So anyway, but Arch, he made the statement he loves Athens, great town, great college town. Hey, Jimmy Thompson, how you doing, my man? Let's see. Also coming to Athens this weekend, five-star Caleb Downs. He's a safety. He's going to be in Athens. Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ohio State are all after Caleb Downs. Crimson Tide are considered the early favorite. So anyway, he's also, Ohio State. He's got some connections with Ohio State. So Caleb Downs, is he from Georgia? I think he is from Georgia. Also, five-star cornerback A.J. Harris is coming to Athens this coming weekend. Probably already there, but he's a cornerback. Boy, we need him. Georgia seems to be the favorite for A.J. Harris. Clemson, Alabama, Florida also are in the mix for A.J. Harris. Justice Haynes, he's a running back. He's also making a visit to Georgia, and he begins to make the rounds. He'll be at Georgia this weekend, Florida the next weekend, Alabama, and then Ohio State. Also, receiver Jalen Hale will be in Athens this weekend, and he was at Georgia in the spring. He loved it. Michigan commit Raylan Wilson is also going to be at Georgia. Now he's made a commitment to Michigan, but he is making a visit to Georgia this weekend. And CJ Allen, he is from Georgia. He's a linebacker. He will be in Athens this weekend. Georgia and Tennessee are in the mix for him. Chris Peel, a cornerback, trending toward the Bulldogs. He's going to be in Athens this weekend as well. So there you go. So and Kirby Smart and his staff, they're so good at recruiting these guys, so good at just getting down and talking with these guys. They're going to do a great job, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Right now, on the 2023 recruiting cycle, Georgia's like number 8 as far as where the judgment is on their commits. But it's early, and all of that's going to change. Alabama's not even on the list, but they will be. They will be. Sports writer Joe Fatale, he's a pretty good guy. He made a visit to all of the SEC towns. He said, it's between seasons. I have nothing better to do. I have a pretty good expense account. Why don't I do this? I'm going to visit all of the towns where the colleges in the SEC are located. And he said, I'm going to visit, the hot spots and the restaurants and everything, and take a look at the city. And I'm going to make a list of the SEC college towns, worst to first. So Joe Fatale, tough duty. I mean, it's hard work, but somebody's got to do it. He goes to all of these towns where our colleges are located, and he goes out on the town and judges the towns. And he's come up with his list of SEC college towns that are from worst to first. He says, in his judgment, now this is his judgment, you could do the same thing, come up with a completely different list. He says Lexington, Kentucky is the worst, but number 14 on the list. Let's say it like that. Lexington is a beautiful town, and that's where the University of Kentucky is. So anyway, in his judgment, it's number 14 on the list. Number 13 is Nashville, Tennessee, where Vanderbilt is. That's a little surprising. Nashville. I mean, Nashville. We're talking Nashville. I mean, entertainment capital of the South, I guess you could say, as far as country music or any kind of music or things like that, and a lot of good eating places. Then he says number 12 is Baton Rouge. Number 11, Columbia, South Carolina. Number 10 on his list, worst to first of college SEC college towns. Number 10 on his list is College Station, Texas. Number 9, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Number 8, Gainesville, Florida. Number 7, Knoxville, Tennessee. Number 6 on the list is Starkville, Mississippi. Okay. He must have found a good barbecue joint at Starkville, Mississippi. Number 5, Fayetteville, Arkansas. This is worst to first of SEC college towns. Huh. Number 4, Oxford, Mississippi. Can understand that. Beautiful town. Number 3 is Columbia, Missouri. Number 2, Auburn, Alabama. And guess Joe Fatale found the best college town in the SEC. I'll give you one guess. Athens, Georgia. He said you cannot beat it. Athens, Georgia, for food, for entertainment, for all of the stuff you can do. It's a beautiful college town. It's just right. He gives it 5 thumbs up. Well, he had to borrow somebody's thumbs, but he gives it 5 thumbs up. So there you go. So, there you go. Athens, number 1. We could have saved Joe Fatale a lot of money by telling him, dude, we know, Athens is number 1. Okay, we're less than 100 days away from the return of college football. Preseason rankings are coming out and the magazines are coming out already. Athlon Sports has put out its projection of the top teams, the top 10 teams for 2022. Athlon Sports, pretty good track record on this kind of thing. Great magazine. Actually publishes a magazine. You don't have to just go online to read the thing. You can get a hard copy of Athlon Sports. Now, the SEC has 3 teams ranked inside Athlon's top 10, Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama. Tennessee is ranked number 18, Kentucky 21, Arkansas 22. That's in the top 25. So here's the top 10 teams for 2022, according to Athlon Sports. Number 10, Oregon. They have 7 offensive starters coming back and 7 defensive starters. Dan Lanning, of course, late of Georgia, defensive coordinator, now the head coach at Oregon. Number 9, USC Trojans. They have 6 offensive starters coming back, 3 on defense. Number 8, Utah Utes, the Utes of America. Remember that movie? What was that movie? Anyway, the Utah Utes. They have 8 offensive starters coming back, 5 on defense. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, number 7, according to Athlon Sports. 7 offensive starters coming back, 7 on defense. Michigan Wolverines, number 6, according to Athlon. 7 offensive starters, 3 defensive starters. Texas A&M has 4 offensive starters coming back, 5 on defense. They're the number 5 team in Athlon Sports top 10 for 2022. Their projected top 10 for the beginning of the season anyway. Clemson is number 4. They have 8 offensive starters and 8 defensive starters coming back. Athlon has Georgia at number 3. Georgia has 7 offensive starters, 3 on defense, but a lot of guys play for Georgia. So, you've got a lot of experience coming back for Georgia. But Athlon says Georgia will wind up number 3. And if that holds true, at least they make the playoffs. There you go. But we don't think that's going to happen. We think they're going to make the playoffs, but not be number 3. 1. According to Athlon, Ohio State, number 2. They returned 6 offensive starters, 6 on defense. And according to Athlon Sports, the number 1 team in the country, at least at the beginning of the season, I guess, the Alabama Crimson Tide, 5 offensive starters returning, 8 on defense. The odds have come out for the opening weekend. Georgia is a 17-point favorite over Oregon. Kind of interesting. 17-point favorite over Oregon. The last time Georgia played Oregon was back in 1977. And that's the only time they've ever played, Georgia and Oregon. Georgia won that game 27-16. Also, Notre Dame, Ohio State is a 14-point favorite over Notre Dame. That's the opening weekend as well. That's the 7 o'clock game. Georgia's got 3:30 on September 3rd. Ohio State and the Buckeyes are 7:30 or whatever. They get the prime time thing. So there you go. Here's the odds to win the national championship. The odds to win the national championship according to FanDuel. Alabama's the favorite, according to FanDuel, followed by Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, USC, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Michigan, the Utes of Utah, the Utes of America. I'm sorry. Oregon Ducks, Miami Hurricanes, Penn State, Notre Dame, and interestingly enough, Ole Miss is listed with FanDuel. Now, they're like an 8,000 to 1 shot to win the national championship, but there you go. And our final thing here. What is this? Oh, yeah, Kirby Smart. There are negotiations going on to give Kirby Smart a raise. The athletic board, I think, met today, and there's big discussions about giving Kirby Smart a raise. Kirby's going to get a big raise. Todd Monken, what did he get? $2 million? He's making $2 million now, the offensive coordinator for the University of Georgia. He got a raise. I think all the staff that's returned got raises. But Kirby Smart set to sign a long-term extension. He's 46 years old. He's won 1 SEC championship while he's been at Georgia. He has won 4 SEC East titles and, of course, a national championship. In 2018, he signed a 7-year, $49 million extension. But now they're working on an extension to pay Kirby Smart. And I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be okay when all is said and done. There you go. So we're counting down the days. We're less than 100 days away. I think it's like 94 days today away from opening weekend for the University of Georgia. Our baseball team, the Diamond Dogs, they're still in it. They're in the regionals. They're in the same regional with Tennessee, the number 1 team in the country. Tennessee baseball team is pretty good, and Georgia's in Georgia is the number 2 seed. Tennessee is the number 1 seed in that regional. So if things go as projected, then you'll find you'll have Georgia and Tennessee in that regional final. That might happen, might not. Either team may not make it. But anyway, so the baseball situation is going on. Beautiful, beautiful indoor facility opened in Athens. Just an absolutely gorgeous thing. We have a couple of videos posted on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. Check those out. Beautiful facility, just an absolutely beautiful facility. And plans are now in to expand Sanford Stadium. There's plans coming up now to do a lot of work on Sanford Stadium. So, hey, when you win the national championship and you reap the benefits, you get to do a lot of stuff. There you go. So, well, listen, it's been fun to be with you on a Thursday night. We've talked a little bit about what's happening in the world of the University of Georgia. Stick with us here at UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And we try to keep you up to date with what's happening and give you some good information. Feed your hunger when it comes to what's happening with my Bulldogs. I know we're all craving for that first kickoff. And so we'll keep you up to date as best we can on what's happening with the University of Georgia. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you have a good night and a super duper weekend. By the way, some of us from our staff at UGA Football News are heading up to Buchanan, Georgia for a football camp that is hosted by Brandon Wood, who played for the University of Georgia back in 2000, what, eight, eight through 10 or something like that. Brandon's a great guy. He puts on a football camp for kids from kindergarten up to high school. He does a lot of good for his community. It benefits his community in Haralson County, Georgia. And man, a whole roster of former Georgia Bulldog players, including Champ Bailey, will be at the camp. And so we're going to be there and we're going to be talking with some of the guys. We'll share with you some of those conversations. Should be a lot of fun. And we'll give you a report on what's happening with that group. So we'll be headed up there this weekend. All right. Good to have you with us tonight. Hey, God bless you. And I pray that you'll have a good evening and a good weekend. Until next time, we always close our programs with this: Go Dogs!